A couple of years ago, I took a bad fall. I was doing a wedding in Hawaii, a great opportunity, but I was there by myself doing the wedding. And so during the day, I'd go out hiking different trails that had been pointed out to me as beautiful. There was one trail on this particular island that wound about 14 miles back across the mountains against the sea. It was very, very beautiful. I made my way out there. I was really trucking to get out there because I wanted to get to the prettiest places along the trail. But I'd stop every once in a while and look around because it was absolutely beautiful, as you know if you've been there. And there was one place where the rocks were big, round rocks, and they were a little damp from a nearby waterfall, as Hawaii is given to do. I was being really, really careful because I knew that it would be possible to fall there, but leave it to me. I managed to fall. I fell probably backwards off of a height about the size of this pulpit onto the lower part of my spine, onto another rounded rock. It totally knocked the wind out of me and scared me to death. And when I started to move again and started to be able to feel things, I knew I was in very much pain. It was really hurting. I guess I had hiked out about an hour and a half, again pretty quickly. As I was trying to get my bearings, you know how it is when you fall or you get hurt, and that piercing pain that just slices through the bone. It was right at the top of my pelvis, I guess, and against the spine. This lady who was hiking herself alone as well stopped. And she was very concerned for me, I could tell. And she didn't think I was going to be able to make my way out. And she offered to walk with me, to stay with me. I told her to go ahead because it was going to be long and slow, but I thought I could make it, and it was long and it was slow. I ended up striding out there and coming back. It was heel-toe almost the whole way, and every single step for the next 3 hours was total pain for me. I did make it. I exited the trail, and there was a parking lot there, and that lady who stopped to see if she could walk with me, she was there. She was in the parking lot. She had waited for me to come off the trail to make sure I was okay. And when she saw me, she started crying. She was so relieved. She was so grateful. This stranger, so relieved and so grateful to see me okay, that she, who didn't even know me, started to cry. I'll never forget that moment. I don't know her name. I don't know if I could barely even get out a thank you to her because the pain was still so great at that point, and I did end up in the emergency room from it. But she just went on her way. I went on my way. I got in the car and drove to the hospital. But this stranger waited over an hour and a half for me to get off that trail so she could be assured I was okay. And when she saw me, she cried. One other time, goes back about 25 years. I was with my buddies and my priest friends, and we were hiking in northern Italy, and we were making our way back on the train in Italy. I got word before I got on the train that my mom was very, very sick. As a matter of fact, it was the beginning of her dying. So I became very anxious about getting back. If you've ever been to Italy, though, you know the trains are not on time. I didn't know much about that, actually, and so we got onto the train, and I could see from the time that we were going to probably miss our plane. And if you miss your plane coming back, sometimes they're so full, and I knew it would be another day at least, if not more, before I could get to see my mom back here in St. Louis. And this young girl, maybe 18 years old, saw us anxious on the train, and she said to us, she spoke a little bit of English. She said, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" And we told her the circumstance, and we didn't know how to negotiate this terminal. We'd never been to in Italy. We had to do the best we could. That girl gave up everything she had to do right away. And in that time, you know, when there were no cell phones really yet, she just helped us. She ran, literally ran through the terminal, literally ran with her suitcases through the terminal, ran to a taxi, talked to the taxi driver in Italian, told him our predicament, and we got in the car and we just drove away. And I don't even remember if I turned back to say thank you. Again, I don't know her name. She just stopped to help strangers, went out of her way to do it. It's a great love, I have to say. Have you ever been helped like that? When was the last time you experienced the kindness of a total stranger? Somebody who went out of their way to help you when you needed it, even before you asked, maybe sometimes. And perhaps somebody you never got a chance to say thanks to, or even got to know their name. Agree with me if you would, but isn't it true that it's just an incredibly powerful experience? That moment of total love, stranger to stranger, is so powerful it continues to blow me away when I call those moments to memory. I think it's partly so powerful because it's so unconditional. There's absolutely no other conditions there. There's no strings attached to that moment and the outcomes of that moment or getting something back from me or from us at those times. There's no eye for a reward of any sort. And there's no future to this relationship. It's not like her or them doing those things for strangers was going to lead to a friendship that would last for a lifetime. No future at all, really. It's so powerful, I think, because to love someone in a moment like that without fear, just to help a stranger, is so godly. Because what's imaged there for us, what's expressed, what's realized is a God who loves us unconditionally, who does not have strings attached to God's love for us in any way. No eye for getting something back, no reward, really. There's something so godly about that moment of a stranger helping a stranger. It's what God is like, and that's what's manifest there. That's got to be something of its power. Oh, God is manifest wherever love is, make no mistake about it. But as our scripture says in another place, if you love only your brother or sister or somebody who loves you back, what merit is there really in that for you? All love is God. All love is God manifest. But when a stranger helps a stranger with no strings, no rewards, unconditionally, that's so clearly God. More so than any other, it seems to me. It's so good, isn't it? Doesn't it restore your sense of the goodness of people? That they would be that good? Doesn't it help you hope again in human beings against the headlines of the newspaper and the TV news? When you see that kind of goodness, you know it's goodness because it's so God, it's so good, it's so God. In today's scriptures, we hear it proclaimed that not only is that what God is like, but it's also what we, human beings, are like at our best. Listen to the first reading. Quote, "The command that I give you, it's not across the sea that you to say, who will cross the sea to get it for us and tell us of it that we may carry it out? No! It is something very near to you, already in your mouth, already in your heart. You only have to carry it out. You only have to do what you are." That law, written in the flesh and bones of our bodies, binds us to one another. It's written in our hearts. It's who we are. Ours, you see, is a deep unity in God. And our deepest unity, this unity between human beings, is never more expressed, never more realized than when one stranger cares for another stranger. Because in that moment, all the divisions between us, I'm over here and you're over there and this is us and this is you, it's not there on the table anymore. What's realized is this underneath unity of human beings with human beings that was there all the time, but we're just so unconscious of it until all of a sudden somebody stops and cares, who doesn't even know you and will never get your name. It's that unity that is underneath the surface that is the most real thing. And the Good Samaritan story that you just heard proclaimed says it so beautifully. It honors the connection, that moment, that was already there. You know, there have been a couple recent papal announcements that have stirred up a lot. I made joke of one at the beginning, Latin masses. That's going to be really amazing for me because all I know is Pig Latin. Ooh yay, are yay. But there's the other one too that the headlines took out and just kind of made sound awfully unecumenical and not very loving. The actual text we're going to put in the bulletin next week for you to study and understand as you can. And I know it stirred up a lot to read those headlines, but it was a great reminder too, I think, to me at least, that what the church is for is that the church is just a means to the end. This whole Roman Catholic tradition and the 1 billion of us who carry that name and all the structures, institutions, and laws are really just a means to an end, and the end is love. The end is love like Jesus loved. The end is the love that is this love between strangers, that one would stop for another and get nothing back for it. That's what the church is for. If you have memories of strangers stopping to help you, an experience of the act of kindness from a total stranger, tell your kids. Tell them when it happened to you. On the way home this morning, tell them what you thought of, if you thought of anything. Whether it was you coming out of a subway station in New York City and looking totally lost and without even asking, one of those New Yorkers, quote unquote, said, "Can I help you? Can I help you?" Tell them the little and big times a stranger may have stopped to help you on the way, because it's going to witness to them. It's going to witness to them who God is and what God is like. It's going to witness to them who we are, we human beings, and what we're like at our best. So good. It's going to witness to them the unity that is between us that we hardly ever think about. But this expresses itself in that moment. The gospel question this morning was, when was the last time you experienced the act of kindness of a stranger? Let me also ask, when was the last time you stopped to help a stranger? Not because it was your job, because you saw some other human being in need and you just did. And maybe even most important, when might be the next time we could do that?